Okay, so if you look, we have our meter stick, and it goes to 99, and you see 1 meter. So this is 100 centimeters. Again, think of our meter stick kind of like a dollar. If you have a dollar, right, you are going to end up with, you break that into 100 equal pieces. There's a piece, there's a piece, there's a piece. Each of those pieces represents 1/100th of the entire dollar, or each centimeter is 1/100th of the entire meter stick. Notice how these numbers are right here on these lines. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I can get my mouse situated here. We also have, sorry, I'm trying to keep it, move my computer a little bit. There we go. In between each centimeter, you also see that these lines are marked, right? So we're going to look at spaces, right? So this year, when we're looking at measuring things, we're going to be looking at spaces. So as I look here, I have 53 and 54, okay? In between 53 and 54, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I'm looking at those spaces, that's what's important, because if I count lines, I can get different answers. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or if I just count in between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? I can get different amounts. But if you're looking at the spaces in between, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So there's actually 10 spaces between each of my centimeters, all the way down the entire meter stick, right? And so each of those spaces, we said, represents a millimeter, which is the thickness of my dime. So I'm going to get my dimes out here. And so if each space is worth 10, each of my centimeters, the spaces is broken into 10 spaces. So if I have between 53 and 54, right? If I break that into 10 equal pieces, each of those spaces is worth 1/10 of the centimeter. And so the 1/10 of the centimeter is actually the same thing as the thickness of my dime, right? And so if I have 10 dimes, that should be about as big as a centimeter. So let me make sure there's 3, 4, 5. Yep, here I have 10. And so I'm going to put them, and notice it's just right about perfect to be as thick as a centimeter, right? So when you put them all together, the rims kind of push them out, so it's just a little bit beyond. But if each space is worth 1 dime, and I have a total of 10 dimes, I should be able to fill up the space and make that 1 centimeter. So 1 dime thick is a millimeter. 10 dimes thick makes my centimeter, right? And so we just have, if you remember that the milli is the smallest, and then typically it's going to be written on the meter stick, cm, so we know that each one of these numbers represents a new centimeter, right? And so, not to make you dizzy, sorry. As we look at these, you know, we're going to start measuring next week using the meter stick. And so it's important to kind of understand that, how those get put together. And so each space, again, if you think of it as 1/10 of this centimeter is our milli. And then it takes 100 of our centis to make our meter stick. And then it takes 1,000 of our meter sticks to make our kilometer or kilometer, right? And so if you remember what those prefixes are dealing with, you're dealing with 100th or 1,000th or 1,000. Those are going to be our typical prefixes that we're working with. okay? And so that, I think, is where we will wrap it up for today. But again, knowing that each of the spaces is where we're gonna be focusing, and if you have 10 spaces in between, divide it up equal, and you get your millis.